Anthropic built 2 models and then killed them.
Not because they were broken, because someone told Washington they had found a way to strip out the guardrails.
And Washington decided the technique was too dangerous to leave unclassified.
So the models are gone, and some of Anthropic's own employees can't be told why.
Washington didn't call this a safety concern or a policy violation. They called it a weapons problem, which carries a different set of legal consequences.
Export control law was written for missiles and night vision equipment and semiconductor manufacturing tools. The logic was always, some technology is so dangerous that if it leaves the country, it changes the balance of power. Washington is now arguing AI models qualify.
Washington didn't call this safety concern or a policy violation. They called it a weapons problem, which carries a different set of legal consequences.
Export control law was written for missiles and night vision equipment and semiconductor manufacturing tools. The logic was always, some technology is so dangerous that if it leaves the country, it changes the balance of power. Washington is now arguing AI models qualify.
The jailbreak itself wasn't the usual thing. Researchers posting clever prompts online, seeing what breaks. Someone brought a method to Washington. The government didn't wait to verify it. They treated the knowledge of how to do it as controlled information, not the output, the method.
Like, the jailbreak technique itself was the weapon, not what you could do with it later, the method. And Fable had been public for days. Whatever this was, it moved fast enough that Washington decided proof of concept was proof enough.
Anthropic also said the technique works on GPT 5.5, which is still up, which Washington hasn't touched.
Knowing how to remove the safety layer from a frontier model is apparently now in the same category as knowing how to enrich uranium.
And the restriction was broad enough to include Anthropic's own employees, not foreign governments, not adversaries, people who work there, who helped build these models, who were cleared to be in the room, suddenly weren't.
So Anthropic did the math and decided that figuring out who among their staff could legally touch the models was harder than just pulling them offline entirely.
This wasn't a regulator threatening fines or demanding changes. The company looked at the compliance problem and chose deletion. And Anthropic isn't a defense contractor. They're a company founded on the premise that AI safety comes first. If this is happening to them, other labs got the same call.
Would we know if they did? Export control proceedings aren't public. The conversations between government agencies and AI companies don't end up in press releases.
So there are probably models sitting offline right now at labs that didn't issue a statement. We just don't know which ones. And somewhere there's a technique for breaking frontier AI that the US government has decided is too dangerous to let cross a border. They believe someone could actually use it. 2 Harvard students pointed a camera at a stranger on the subway and had their name, home address, and employer in under a minute. They used Meta's Ray-Ban glasses and ran face recognition in the background. Meta said they had nothing to do with it, that the students had piped the glasses' feed into their own software.
Except Meta was already building exactly that themselves.
A leaked software license ties Meta to a company called Rank 1 Computing. They make face recognition systems for the Pentagon and police departments, facial recognition powerful enough to identify a person from a kilometer away. Meta had them prototyping the same capability for the Ray-Ban glasses.
Military identification software running on a pair of sunglasses your friend wears to brunch.
Meta's Ray-Ban glasses have a camera connected to your phone. What Rank 1 builds is the layer that takes a face and returns a name.
And Meta kept it quiet. No announcement, no policy update, no public test. A software license leaked.
The students who did it in the subway got called out for crossing a line, but the line they crossed, Meta was drawing a road through it.
Rank 1 isn't a consumer tech company. They came up through law enforcement and defense procurement. The accuracy benchmarks they've been optimizing for aren't about convenience. They're about not missing someone you're looking for. Missing a target has consequences. That intolerance for error is now inside the same device your friend uses to film concerts.
Casey Harrell has amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, ALS, a disease that gradually takes away your ability to move and eventually to speak. He got a brain implant almost 3 years ago, and since then he's logged over 3,800 hours using it, not in a lab, at home, alone.
Every brain-computer interface study before this has been supervised, researchers in the room monitoring sessions, controlled conditions. Harold is just living, browsing the internet, doing his job as a climate policy advocate, talking to his family.
The implant reads electrical signals directly from the neurons that control speech, tiny spikes of activity that his muscles can no longer act on. Software translates those signals into words in something close to real time.
And the speed is around 47 words per minute. Normal conversation runs about 130. But it's enough to hold a meeting, enough to send an email without someone else in the room.
The researchers who published this called him the first power user, someone who pushed the technology past its intended limits just by using it every day.
Most of what we hear about brain-computer interfaces is about the hardware, the electrode arrays, the surgery, the signal fidelity. Harold is evidence that the bottleneck was never really the hardware.
It was whether the system could survive contact with an actual life.
Messy schedules, bad lighting, a bad day, distraction, all the things a lab session doesn't have.
He's still losing function. ALS doesn't stop.
And yet, he gave a speech at the UN last year using the implant.
What happens when the next person who needs this can't get into a clinical trial?
A couple other things caught our attention today.
Google found out someone was using Gemini, their own AI, to run a phishing operation. Fake websites, fake texts, pretending to be from your bank or your carrier, generated automatically and sent to over 100,000 Americans.
The network is based in China. Google is suing them and working with the major carriers to block the messages at the infrastructure level.
The scam texts were convincing enough that people didn't catch them. AI can now mimic a trusted institution well enough to fool you, at scale, automatically.
The only thing standing between that and your bank account is whether Google's legal team moves faster than the next version of the tool they built.
BNY, the world's largest asset custodian, $59.4 trillion in assets under custody, just announced it's moving into Bitcoin and Ethereum custody.
Which sounds like a milestone until you hear what security researchers are saying. Every crypto vault in existence may have a quantum problem baked into it.
Quantum computers could theoretically break the encryption that protects crypto wallets. The locks being installed today might not hold in that world.
The race is whether the banking system can upgrade its encryption before quantum computing gets powerful enough to make that urgent. BNY is buying into a vault that might need a completely different lock.
Nobody has fully built that lock yet.
A police officer in Derbyshire is being criminally investigated for allegedly using AI to fabricate evidence. First time in British legal history.
The immediate problem isn't just that officer, it's every case they touched. Prosecutors are already in contact with defense lawyers, which means convictions are now in question.
Courts were never designed to handle evidence that looks completely real and wasn't. Witness testimony can be cross-examined. Forensic evidence has chains of custody. AI-generated material can pass both of those tests on appearance alone.
Courts everywhere are going to need some way to verify what's real, and right now, most of them don't have one.
June 15th, Washington shut down 2 AI models under export control law. Meta was caught prototyping military-grade face recognition for Ray-Ban glasses. A man with ALS gave a UN speech using a brain implant. Google's own AI was used to phish 100,000 Americans.
See you tomorrow.
Singularity Pulse is for informational purposes only. Nothing here is financial, legal, or professional advice. Views expressed are our own.
I'm Knox. Every Saturday on Pulse Deep Dive, one story told in acts. This season, how AI happened, who really invented the internet, and going back to the moon 53 years later. New chapter every Saturday. Find it wherever you listen.
Origins is a different kind of show. Every Sunday, we investigate the forces that shape the modern world. The geography, the science, the commerce, the decisions made centuries ago that are still playing out today. Find it wherever you listen to this podcast.